Today we will hear from our colleagues that represent the even-numbered district. Our first supervisor that I think has submitted the longest question thus far is Supervisor Farrell.
Thanks, Mr. President. What a dubious honor. Welcome, Mayor Lee. My question, tenancies in common in San Francisco, or TICs, have traditionally been a vehicle to allow residents in our city to realize their goal of homeownership. San Francisco has always promoted a path towards converting TICs to condominiums, which has a number of benefits, and principally the ability to obtain lower interest rates for their property. Over the past decade, however, the condo conversion lottery has created a bottleneck for our TIC owners, and the chances of prevailing in the condo lottery have continued to diminish year after year. To compound matters, during the recent recession, the vast majority of lenders who finance TICs stopped lending into the market, leaving only a handful of financing options. At the same time, many TIC owners are now facing adjustable rate mortgages that are resetting and threatening to place many TIC owners into foreclosure. Especially given these dynamics, compounded with our looming annual budget deficits and the dismantling of our redevelopment agency, the concept of condo lottery bypass legislation, whereby condo owners would be offered a one-time opportunity to pay a fee to bypass the lottery, should be a win-win situation for everyone, especially given these fees would be specifically directed towards affordable housing in San Francisco. Would you support this condo lottery bypass legislation, which would serve the dual purpose of helping vulnerable TIC owners in San Francisco and provide a significant source of funding for our affordable housing community to plug our current budget deficit?
Thank you, Supervisor Farrell, for bringing up this very important issue. And as I've said in the past, I am open in principle to discussing a condo conversion program. But to my knowledge at this time that there's no current condo lottery bypass legislation before the board. But if legislation was brought, I would be open to considering it, providing it balances our need for revenue for affordable housing, the value that responsible homeownership brings to the city, and the rights of tenants who could be affected by change in policy. It would serve a public good if we could relieve some of the pressure that's accumulated in the lottery over the years. But we'd also want to make policy reforms to ensure that a backup doesn't occur again. Condo conversion as an issue has been around city government for as long as I've been, which tells me something, not only how important it is to everyone involved, but also how contentious it's been for a number of years. Since 1979, when the Board of Supervisors first decided to regulate condo conversion, the city has tried to balance the desire to expand homeownership opportunities to middle-class families with the need to preserve our existing rental stock. In 1982, for example, the Board of Supervisors, at Mayor Feinstein's request, reached a compromise and limited the number of conversions to 200 per year and only allowed owner-occupied buildings with 6 or fewer units to be eligible for conversion. An unlimited number of 2-unit buildings may convert subject to certain restrictions. We've also put in place policies to ensure that bad evictions don't occur. San Francisco, for example, permanently disqualifies any property that became owner-occupied through the no-fault evictions of an elderly, disabled, or catastrophically ill person. Meanwhile, last decade, we improved the lottery process to favor those who had been in the process for many years. But since owners must wait 3 years before being eligible for the lottery, the backlog continues to build up. This is a problem for those residents who have followed our city's rules and guidelines, done the right thing, and remain in the state of limbo that has lasted for years. Meanwhile, as you've mentioned, Supervisor, the housing bubble burst and available credit from the lenders had shrunk dramatically for all forms of housing, including TICs. The loss of redevelopment has left us at the local level looking for ways to fund affordable housing ourselves. This is why our Housing Trust Fund has been formed. They met last week and will continue to meet over the next coming months. With regard to that effort and the broad array of stakeholders participating in it, no idea is off the table. Thank you, Supervisor, for keeping attention to this long-standing issue.
Our next question.